Hi, I'm Lenny Crandall, and I developed the RPM in 10 minutes a day lesson plans to help you get started. For those of you who are beginning to get some consistency. Consistency is one of the most important things in getting RPM going, and then presuming intelligence in your child, that they can learn, and then talking to them and interacting with them in that way. So with that in mind, you're going to want to probably talk to your provider that's doing RPM with you to get to know how it looks for you, and then also study Soma's books on RPM. So this is not training on RPM, it's just to help you as you go through your process in RPM. I want to explain some of the lessons for you and how to adapt them for your child, since writing every single thing you could possibly say in a lesson plan would make it extremely long and hard to actually read through. But RPM lessons should feel like a discussion, and they need to be a discussion. So it shouldn't just be teacher talking for a long time and then student asking one question or answering one question, teacher talking for a long time and student answering a question. It also shouldn't look like teacher saying something and then student answering a bunch of questions. Teacher saying something and student answering tons of questions. That'd be kind of lopsided. What you want is it to go back and forth. So in my lesson plans, I have the statement, then the asking and the expansion questions. And between those asking and expansion questions, you're going to want to add some commentary, just like you're having a discussion with somebody. And that kind of makes it so it feels, again, like a discussion versus it being a bunch of quizzing, because it shouldn't feel like a quiz for your child or your student there. I have made these lesson plans, but you have to adapt them. So for some of your children, when you're first starting, if RPM is just, it feels like a disaster, you're not feeling like you're getting very far, you might want to just teach the statement, ask one question, make your comment, move to your next statement, ask the question, make a comment, then just kind of, it'd be less than the answers there. For the rest of you, you maybe want to ask all of them, but again, you have to have the commentary and that back and forth exchange. So some of you will need to break the statement down a bit more and then ask questions, then say more of the statement and ask questions. If your child tends to move around more and needs more back and forth at a faster speed, you'll have to do that. So I'm now going to show you the lesson plan itself for both the 9 years and up and then the one for the children, and talk through how I would add commentary to a lesson so you can kind of get the feel of how it is. So I'm going to try and talk to you kind of like I'm doing with a student. One thing I won't be doing a bunch of is spelling out the words. You'll need to spell out the words. So when you write your keywords down, you'll spell out the words. When you do your choices, you'll spell out the words and write them there. So keep in mind, I'm mostly I'm focusing on the commentary. I'm not focusing here on all the presentation of it. Like the writing, the choice. I'm not writing down the choices. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just talking to you about what you will be saying. So let me show you here. This is going to be starting with the student or the child. Let me see if you can see that. So here we have, this is the one on turtles, right here. So let me kind of move that closer. So right we have here is I have my first statement here. Today we are talking about turtles. If I was dealing with a child who was moving around a lot more and was needing a lot more time to respond, but I still need to get the back and forth exchange, I might do this like, turtles, what are we talking about? So my statement would be, turtles, instead of doing that whole phrase there. Then I ask my question and make my comment. Then here, the shell of a turtle is its home, I would say, the shell, what are we talking about? The shell or this? Yes, the shell of the turtle. Then you do your other questions, or there's no one there. The shell of turtles is its home. So then you'd kind of split it down that way, breaking it at a shell, and then you'd move on to breaking it out a home there. So you would cut that in statement here. The turtles are green would be one half, and then and can swim would be the second half of how you would present that to a kid who needs a little bit more rapid fire. And what I mean by half is turtles are green, then you'd ask the question that coordinates with that part, and then you go to this one after you commented and then ask the questions that coordinated with this second part. That's what I mean. So now I'm going to give you some of the commentary that you would use, whether you were doing it split up halfway in between, or whether you say the whole thing that's there. And these were intentionally written shorter so that you could say the whole thing for most students, as that's going to be more comfortable for those of you beginning, most likely, since it's something new. So I'd say the turtles, today we're talking about turtles. Then I ask the question, what are we talking about? Seahorses or turtles? After they pick turtles, I would give them commentary like, yes, we get to talk about turtles today. I might even say, ooh, yeah, we just saw a turtle at the zoo last week. And so I'm going to make something to connect them into it and just grab their attention. So this is going to be very, very personalized. Then after I make my comment there, I'm going to go to the next one. The shell of a turtle is its home. Then I'd say, what part of the turtle is its home, the shell or the foot? So then they pick shell, and then you make a comment. Yeah, turtles live in a shell. Isn't that so interesting? They carry their home on their backs. Expansion. Do you carry your home on your back like a turtle? And then you would do and they pick no, and you'd say, yes, right, you're a human. You live inside your home. You don't actually carry it. So now you see how you added that in. So here you're adding in that, yeah, it's not crazy. They're holding that on their back, their home on their back in the shell. And then you're helping it more personalized, like, yeah, you don't because you live in a home. So it's just kind of natural things that you would know there. I'm going to scroll it down to this point right here. On this one, and again, this is why you want to read over it. The turtles are green. These first two coordinate with that one and can swim. These next ones coordinate with that one. So if you needed to split it down, you could do it at here, stop, ask those 2 questions, go to here and can swim, ask those 3 questions there with your commentary. But let's just say we're just going to do the whole thing now. Turtles are green and can swim. Now, what color is a turtle? Is it black or is it green? And then the student will pick green and say, yes, it's the color green. And if you want to, that's my favorite color or something, just so you might comment that way. Then, what else is green? A home or a plant? They pick plant. Yes, the plant is green. Ooh, guess what? So is grass green and your shirt. So now, if you make that kind of a statement, now you're participating with them in that whole process. And we're both identifying green things, not just the student. So then it's a discussion. And then you say, and what do turtles do? Do they swim or they hike? They pick swim. Yes, they swim. So, ooh, you like to swim too, or, oh, you don't like water very much. You wouldn't like to be a turtle, would you? That kind of a thing. So you're just making a statement there to kind of connect it with the student. These are younger children, of course, why I'm saying student comments like this. Then, can you help me spell swim? They need to spell it S-W-I-M or F-X-I-L. You can also say something like, I forgot how to spell swim. I wonder if you could help me, to make it more of feeling like a challenge for them. Then they'd pick the S-W-I-M, yes, swim, because the swim starts with a sus sound, that's the letter S, and it ends with a mus sound, that's the letter M. Now I'm asking this, even if the child doesn't know how to read this point, because you're already up here, you wrote down green and swim, you already told them how to do that. They just picked the word swim up here, so you already had them exposed to that word, so this is not a far-stretched thing, and in the process of that, they're learning the phonics there. And you can just teach them as a comment, like, yes, it starts with a swa sound, that's the SW sound, or whatever you want to say. What is something you do? And then you'd say, so do you swim a web or do you walk? And they say, yes, you walk. That's something you can do. Spiders swim webs, you don't spin webs. And then, or you might say, yeah, you can walk, and then you might think, let's think of some other things that you can do. Do you run or do you squiggle? Yeah, you run. You're not a snake. You don't squiggle. Yeah, running's kind of fun, isn't it? So now you have a comment going back and forth, and so then it doesn't feel like a list of questions, and then now they're connecting it with themselves, and now you take in turtles are green and can swim, and now you broadened it, so then it's applied to their life, and this lesson has meaning versus it being a bunch of too much information being bombarded at the child. That's what you're trying to avoid there. Now let's go to the 9 and up, so that you can see how to make it sound a little bit more like you would to an adult here, or to not adult, a teen, or whatever age you're doing, 9 and up. So again, this is the second statement in atoms. I'm just going to go through a section on this one. So our atoms are so small, you could split it right there. Your first questions, atom are very small or large. So that goes right with that. You can't even see them through a microscope, and then here's your next question that coordinates with this one. And then you have this one that goes with both of them to help you be able to logic through this expansion. The expansion questions are very critical to have in your RPM lessons. It gets very boring if you just have ask. A kid doesn't even have to understand English to get 100% on ask questions. It's just a listening one, and then also helps you know how your technique is. So you need the expansion to make it interesting. Keep that in mind. So now we're going to go through it as if you're going to say the whole thing, and then I'll add the commentary in again. If you're just doing a small section of it and then asking, then going back here, your same kind of commentary would apply. So if you said, atoms are so small, you can't even see them through a microscope. Then here we are. Atoms are very SMLE small, or would you say that they're LARGE large? Yes, they're small. And then you'd say, yeah, they're very small. Or you might change the word, yes, they're very tiny. there. And then you would go to your next statement. Can you see them through a microscope? Yep or nope? And they pick nope. Like, nope, you can't, because we just said they're very small. There's your commentary again. So you kind of reaffirm this is the reason why, to get the rationale in there. Then this expansion, because this is logic through, they can figure this out. If they've never seen a microscope, based off the information given here, they can figure out this answer. So can you make an educated guess on what a microscope does to things? Does it make it enlarge or withdrawn? They pick enlarge, like yes, just like a magnifying glass. Or exactly, they make them bigger so you can see them, but you can't even see atoms, they're so small. Or you might even statement, yes, they enlarge them. Well, you know when I saw a microscope when I was in high school. I used one. They're pretty cool. Or you might even get a picture of a microscope and show them that if you wanted to. If they're more visual, you do that. If they're not as visual, you can still do it, but you have to add and use their other senses to get that tactile information. So basically the idea I'm trying to bring up is, if you're just stating this, asking this, getting the answer, asking this, getting the answer, asking this and getting the answer, without the commentary, then it becomes imbalanced. It's not what you want to do. You want to go back and forth. And as you keep going, you'll get more natural. It'll become more natural for you just to comment as you get used to talking to your child and having it be a discussion.